How's it going, everybody? Hope you're all doing well. So today we're going to be discussing how much should you invest into a bug out bag, get home bag, emergency kit, whatever it is. And I'm here to explain to not make the same mistakes that I did. This is a very expensive bag, but yet you can do a lot with a very minimal bag. I'm going to give you some tips on how to approach that, how to start, or even if you're in the center, if you've already have a bag pretty well set up, how to get your goals and your necessities in line with having an inexpensive, effective bag. So right off the get-go, right, my kit, this is not to be like, aha, this is how much it is. This is supposed to be the opposite of that. Do not spend the amount of money that I did. This is a $23,000 setup. It is not necessary at all. And that's what I'm here to explain, because I'm testing very high expensive things. And I have done this over the years, right? 15 years I've been working on this setup. And specifically, 3 items in this entire kit make up about 80 to 85% of the cost. If you did away with those 3 items, which I'm gonna point out, this bag would be very significantly less. So before we get into that, if you want to see this entire full layout, every single item in this bag, there is a video that I did, and I'm gonna put it in the description box below. I lay out everything, I talk about pricing, I talk about where you can get it, all that kind of stuff. In general, that's a good video to go to after this one. So initially, if you are trying to build one or you're in the process of building one, there's pretty much 3 things you need to focus on, right? One of them being a goal. What is the overall accomplishment that you are trying to build? Like, what kind of kit, what are you trying to build for it? As in distance, what do you want it to accomplish? Do you want it to get from your home to your cabin? Or from your home to the countryside, or your home to a family member's house? Or the opposite, as in, I'm driving out for work, I want this bag or this kit to get me from wherever I'm at to home, right? Lay out your goals. What do you need it to accomplish, right? At the time, this bag needed to get me home at about 200 miles. This is kind of a bug out bag, get home bag mix, right? At the time, I needed to walk home potentially 200 miles because I lived out in the Montana wilderness, and the nearest towns were very far and few between. And I've gone over that quite extensively in other videos. Next, once you understand what you need to accomplish, like let's just say I want to just get home from, 50 miles from where I work to my home, to my family. Okay, cool. There's your outline. There's your goal. What do I need? Okay, moving on from that. Second point, what environment could you be faced with, right? There's only 3. There's 3 bullet points we're going to talk about. What environment is number 2? In the environment, is it going to be extremely cold? Is it going to be extremely warm? Is it going to be wet, rainy, hot, that kind of stuff? And you're going to say, oh, well, the seasons change. Yes, but it's a difference between, central Florida and central Montana. Even in the summertime, there is a difference. And that's why you got to look at, okay, what temperatures averagely am I going to deal with? What are the temperatures at night that I'm averagely going to deal with? And then you can set that up, right? Hey, we're looking at 50 degrees at night. Perfect. Next, once you have established that, you go down to your needs. That's the 3rd bullet point. So that's typically food, water, fire, shelter, protection, right? Simple baselines. Now with these, you don't need to go crazy expensive. YouTube and myself, which granted I test a lot of different gear, cheap gear, expensive gear, but there's a lot of other YouTubers that kind of push newer, expensive things on you, going, well, you need this. You don't. And I guess I could be guilty, but at the same time, I try to give you information for my audience, because my audience is very broad. I have very budget-minded people, and I have very, expensive, people that want to spend their money and stuff. So it's hard to, I'm testing pretty much everything, in essence. So with that, you don't need to spend a ton of money on these things. Again, food, water, shelter, fire, and protection. For example, right here, this is a Keith titanium water bottle, or a canteen cup. It's $150 because it's titanium. You don't need titanium. Sure, do I like this? Do I recommend this product? Is it lightweight? Yes, it does a lot of things that other canteens don't because of the weight, and it's metal. But can you get away with a surplus canteen? Absolutely. If you don't want to buy that, that's fine. I'm advocating for either or. You could go find a canteen and cup set for probably $5 at a local surplus store. Just know its limitations. You could run that forever for the rest of your time. That'd be 100% fine. I wouldn't even worry about it. Granted, when you get into products like this, that's when you start getting on the bleeding edge of technology and lightweight. Cool, the technology is the same, but what it's made out of is different. It's really lightweight and it accomplishes things. All right, so that's what I'm talking about. You don't have to go crazy expensive. Now, getting in those 3 items real quick, the 3 items that predominantly make up the cost of this entire $23,000 bag is night vision. This is PVS 14. These are dual tube, so this is about $8,000 right in here. If you remove that, there goes $8,000 out of my bag, right? Do you need night vision? Not really, no. If you have the money to do it, yes, it's an awesome benefit to have. But focus on those core tasks first. Same with thermal. Here is a thermal monocular. This is an IRA RH25. This is about $5,500. You don't need it. If you are struggling funding wise, or even in those basic needs, if you don't have your goal, your environment, and your basic needs covered, don't even look at this stuff. Not even worth it, right? Because you need to focus on the other tasks at hand that we just discussed. Lastly, is this rifle. This rifle goes pretty much everywhere with me, right? This is a registered SBR, yes, so you got to do the paperwork to transfer it through state lines and stuff like that. It has been done multiple times whenever I fly or I drive, all that kind of stuff. It is a hassle. You can do a pistol build. I'm not here to discuss all that nonsense. But this is about a $6,000 rifle setup. You don't need it. This whole setup, the bag and all this stuff, has taken 15 years to get. The rifle is almost coming up on a decade that I've been working on stuff. That is why there's so much money invested into it. It's time investment. So if you took those 3 items out, you're looking at about a $2,500 setup. And that's still talking about expensive titanium stuff. I have an IR light on my pistol in there, right? I have, you know, the Grail titanium in there as well, right? $200, like this stuff. You don't need all the expensive stuff to make things work. Focus on those 3 things: goal, environment, and needs, right? And even if you're halfway through this, you're like, hey, I've spent my money on stuff, keep reevaluating your needs. Next, if you're covered all your needs, 100%, everything's done, and you're happy with it, but you're still wanting to find extra things, that's when you start looking into other items as time goes on. As in, maybe I can upgrade my canteen to something else. Am I willing to put $150 down on it? If you're not, then don't do it. I'm willing to get a GPS unit, you know, to kind of help me out, and I'm gonna put it in here, right? That's when you can start upgrading other things that are in here. And you can look back on my prior videos. Years ago, you can go through old bug out bag, get home bag videos and see older stuff that I had, and slowly I changed them out because it's a process. This was not an upfront investment, right? And it doesn't need to be for you. And it doesn't technically need to be at all. Keep it minimum, keep it less expensive, which I'm gonna do a video on coming up. I'm gonna do a cheaper video or a budget-based video. How do you get a good setup for really cheap? We're gonna try to do that here pretty soon. So I just wanted to go over that, right? Goal, environment, and your needs, and you do not need an expensive setup like this. Why do I have it? Is mainly because I test a lot of gear and I like being on the very edge of lightweight and capability. If you want to be that way, that's fine too. It's just majority of us do not need to be that way. And I'm telling you, don't make the same mistakes of me investing in products, which I'll probably do a video on that too, of bug out bag mistakes that I regret. And that'll probably be a good video here coming up. So that's the video, right? Focus on those tasks. You do not need to, like YouTube is really good at going after those things and saying you need this and need this and need that. And it's just, do it what works. That's what I'm saying. Normal, common individual here. So, all right, that's all I have. PayPal, Patreon, If you want to see the full rundown, I'll put in the description box below. If you want to see the whole rundown on the rifle as well, that is on Rumble, because YouTube doesn't really like that kind of stuff. So I'll place that in the description box as well. Go over to Rumble, it's just a click and then you can watch it. Same kind of aspect. Patreon gets behind the scenes. As you see, the scenery has vastly changed. And that is because the DoD decided to change things up on me. And if you want to know more about that, where did I go, where did I come from, that kind of stuff, head over to Patreon. It's gonna explain all that kind of stuff of channel updates, scenery updates, and where the channel is actually going, which is pretty exciting, but that kind of stuff. But other than that, I just want to discuss, you don't need an expensive bag. You don't need to pump money into it, realistically. You do not. Focus on those 3 things. 4, arguably the upgrade portion, but 3, goal, environment, needs, and upgrades. Other than that, hope you all have a great day.